All right, with us now on the Voices of Wall Street, we welcome in Howard Lindzon. He's the general partner at Social Leverage, co-founder of StockTwits, and most recently, he is the CEO of Social Leverage Acquisition, a new SPAC. Man said, I don't want to invest in SPACs, I want to be the SPACs. To be the man, you have to beat the man, and we have the man with us right now. I'm very excited. Howard, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, I'm glad you're excited. No one's excited to see me.
That's a
My
lie.
dog,
That's a lie, and you know it.
occasionally my dog will lick me.
Your dog is always excited to see you. And look, I want to jump right into it because you've got this SPAC that just launched. We've had a bunch of folks who have been on the other side of the SPAC process. They were leading companies that were, mixed in with the blank check company. You were on the blank check company side. Talk to me about your SPAC. You talked about a little bit on some other programs, but just tell me a little bit about what it is and why you wanted to do this.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm 55. My hips don't work. I have a bad elbow. My hairline's terrible. I have a mole. I mean, there's not much else left for me that I can do. I'm not qualified to do many things. The one thing I've been doing my whole life is, other than making people laugh at me and with me, is invest. I've just been fascinated by the world of investing. I learn by doing, that it's never been a better time to be an investor. And I started an investing site at StockTwits, an investing platform. So I've been living this life as an investor, and all of a sudden it's a kind of a cool thing. Investing was not for everybody, and here we are in 2021. If you're not investing, you're really making a mistake. And if your parents aren't teaching you the lessons of investing, well, you're going to get it somewhere. You're going to get it from Dave Portnoy or myself or Chamath or CNBC. You're going to get it. Someone's going to just tell you and show you their trade.
Or the Voices of Wall Street, right? The Voices of Wall Street or Market Banter.
So you're going to hear it. So you might as well hear it from your parents. This isn't like the birds and the bees where your parents should be embarrassed. This is a passage of rights. This is a language no different than learning English. And so I think this just becomes a bigger and bigger phenomenon that people learn about investing. And so with the SPAC, all of a sudden people like myself who have a big audience and have respect from investors, doesn't matter if I'm wearing a three-piece suit or a fancy gold watch or have a mahogany desk, people know me, and the game of trust is a moving thing, and so people trust me. We had access to capital. I had ability to put together this great team. I call it like the traveling Wilburys. We had a chance at our age to put together basically a fund to fire one bullet. Most funds, growth funds have, they'll raise $4 billion or $300 million and invest in 20 companies, and they have to stay together for 10 years to get that done. That's a lot of pressure on a group of people versus a SPAC, which allows us to assemble a group to find one great target, to create one great hit. And I just think it's a really great tool that just happened to find its era. It's been around a long time, and here we are in 2021, post-COVID. We're battling through the tail end of COVID, let's say. And you couldn't have predicted this, but in hindsight, you can't predict these things, but you have to go back and analyze and go, does this make sense going forward? And as a tool, it makes perfect sense. Giving your money to Fidelity or T. Rowe Price to put in their mutual funds, or giving it to SoftBank to go travel the world and make their investments. This is just a different version of all that, where you get to pick the sponsor that you want to do business with to go make an investment or to go merge with the company. So that's basically, because I could do it, and because of COVID, and because I could put together this team, it just seemed like the perfect tool to apply at this stage of my career, and we did it.
Yeah. And I want to ask you about, really quickly, one investment that you've previously made, you've talked a lot about, and that's Robinhood. Were you one of the investors who put money in this last fundraising round that they did?
We didn't. I mean, we're not big enough. We did try. We put together a group of people and offered to invest money, but it wasn't large enough to move the needle for all their headaches, I guess. So yeah, I would
Wow.
have, could have, couldn't. I mean, I thought I could have, and we'll see if I should have. We've been investors in the company from almost day one, um, and it's been fun. I couldn't have
So
predicted. I couldn't have
so
predicted
in
it
that
being this.
round, they were actually turning away investors. They had so many people trying to give them money that they were turning folks away.
Well, I'm sure on Friday they weren't turning people away, but by this Sunday night, when people realized that this was more of a capital issue than a product issue or a company issue, um, it turns out capital is not hard to get if you have a great product and a great, you know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah.
you can hate it, you can hate it, you can hate them, you can hate the product, you can hate trading, but you can't hate people for wanting to seeing a good investment idea and piling in.
Mhm. And what's interesting to me about that was it seems like kind of the more bad press Robinhood gets, the more subscribers they get, the more money they get. Can you talk to me about that? Because you said you wanted to throw them money after what seemed like it should have been a, company ending PR nightmare actually turned out to go in completely opposite direction.
Well, I don't think it's vaping, and I don't think it's who was calling for it to close. Dave Portnoy, he runs a gambling site. You know
There
what I
were
mean?
there were quite a few people who were very angry about
The
this, but I mean,
hottest,
look at it.
loudest. Hang on, the hottest, loudest takes. And I'll give you a soundbite for you. Came from a guy who runs a gambling site. He went on Tucker Carlson. He went on Fox News for 2 days, and he
Yeah,
complained about that Vlad should go to jail. Well, let's consider the source. On a Sunday afternoon of NFL football, 50% of Barstool's customers feel shit because they bet on the wrong team. And so again, the
right.
media, this is the reason the media is not trusted. Okay, give me there was no story here other than the communications problem. Like, the
I
markets are
well,
complicated.
Howard, I'd push back with you. I'd push back on you on one thing. I think there was a bit of a story, which is that they restricted trading to only
Yeah,
selling for, and
absolutely.
obviously those of us in financial media who understand how some of these things work weren't as worked up as Davey D global day traders, certainly.
If if
But
I
I think anybody could see that there was an issue here with some of the restrictions that they put on, and a lot of their users were upset about it.
yeah, they have every right to be upset about it. I think Robinhood made some mistakes. Is it should it have threatened the company? I think they were pretty stressed at the company. I think having to go raise $3 billion on a weekend is I think pretty stressful. I don't
Yeah.
understand. You think Robinhood walked away scot free? They didn't. Here's the
I don't
point.
think they walked away scot free, but I think they walked away with more money than they had and more users than they'd had, which
Because
is,
the world wants this product to work. You got to look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is if there was a great competitor to Robinhood, and there was plenty of years where VCs and other people could have built an equal product to Robinhood. Yes, that would have been maybe a company ending thing. There wasn't a competitor. If there was Lyft, if this happened to Uber, people switched to Lyft. If this happened to Robinhood, some people moved to Schwab. If you moved to Schwab because of this, you were in for a treat of bad user experience and the exact same problems if this happened. They restricted GameStop too. Really,
well,
people,
their restrictions were different though. Let's be clear about that.
they hid behind the same. They hid behind Robinhood making the first move because Robinhood had capital requirements. Schwab didn't have capital requirements. Believe me, they restricted. Everybody restricted trading in GameStop.
Schwab, I think, only restricted margin trading, whereas Robinhood actually
They
restricted you from
restricted it.
buying stock.
Again, I don't want to quibble. They restricted it. Okay, you're getting into the minutia. The problem was that Robinhood traders, for whatever reason, thought that buying GameStop at $250 was a good idea. That is a break in the system right there. If you are taking your advice and buying GameStop at $250, you are going to 99% of the time lose money. Okay, so the odds were stacked against the idiots that were doing this in the first time. They were playing a game of financial chicken on an app that they loved, and it blew up. And the rules were probably changed. It has happened to anybody that has invested for 10 years. If it happens in your first week, consider yourself lucky. Not that you lost money, that you saw how the markets work the first week you did training. Because if you're going to make a career of investing and you think GameStop is how you do it, you're going to last about a month. Okay. And so that's the story. The story is not that Robinhood survived. The story is what can we do about it to teach investors how to invest and even trade. There's nothing wrong with trading. I trade occasionally, but we need to educate people. If you learn Chinese for a week and then throw yourself into Beijing without money, your Chinese won't get you very far. You will eat scorpions and you will be miserable and you'll be running in circles trying to find your way to a hotel. Well, if you first experience investing is because Dave Portnoy or your friend on Snapchat said to buy GameStop, that's like learning Chinese. If you made money, you were
Yeah.
lucky. Okay.
I
And
no,
so
I think that's certainly reasonable. But the thing I want to ask you just really quickly, and then I want to move on here, is what about that event taking place made you say, hey, let me give these guys more money? Was it just that it made clear that there were no competitors, as you say, or what was it?
yeah, I mean, I'm shocked that there's not a good product that competes with them. It's just the downloads prove that what Robinhood offers, much like Uber did, was an incredible experience on top of a very complicated thing. What we've learned
Okay.
is just because you beautify a complicated thing, whether it's makeup or Chinese or the markets, does not make
Yeah.
it easier. It just actually makes it more dangerous.
Right.
And right, like guns used to be very hard to load. Now you can fire a
Yeah.
hundred rounds in 3 seconds and buy your bullets at Walmart. Like where do we draw the line? I
Yeah.
agree that this is a
So,
very dangerous thing for an 18-year-old to speculate on GameStop
or
because the internet told them that. I would
or a
hope that
14-year
my
old.
kids,
Yeah.
how do you open an account if you're 14? Tell me how a 14-year-old does that.
I don't know, but it's
Well,
clearly
they can't.
happening.
So that's ridiculous. An 18-year-old can open a brokerage account. 14-year-olds can't trade. So let's take that out of the equation. And an 18-year-old that's old enough to drive should be able to put $500 into their Robinhood account and blow their brains out with their $500, right? What we can afford to happen is to continue to make these same mistakes and not teach people this beautiful thing that we have, which is the ability to invest in capital
Yeah.
markets.
And that's
And
and that's a great jumping point, I think, to the next question I have for you, which is what kind of companies are you looking for right now? I mean, are you trying to find the next Robinhood, or what is it that's caught your eye?
that's a great question. So yeah, I think Robinhood's been there, done that, right? So in a world as a venture capitalist, the way I think about it is what's next? And not so far in the future, but if there's one Robinhood, won't there be 1,000 Robinhoods? So yes, I'm surprised that there's not Robinhood competitors up the yin yang in the United States, and there will be. And this will be the impetus to say we're better than Robinhood. So what I'm focused on is how do we help 1,000 Robinhoods flourish, right? If I believe that people are going to trade, just like I
Hmm.
believe it'll be hard to remove bullets from Walmart, even though I want it to happen, if I believe that people are going to trade, what's important to me? Education, mentoring, communication, and well, we're already at free, so more Robinhoods. So the only way to do more Robinhoods is to invest in companies that help Robinhoods exist, which is what we've done in a company called Alpaca. And then StockTwits, like more education. Like how do we get through to 18-year-olds and 30-year-olds that this is a privilege and that this is like one of the greatest freedoms that you have as an American is the ability to move money around, not just
Yeah.
your voice. Everybody's talking about free speech, and I think that they're missing the point. You have free
Mm.
speech.
Yeah.
In fact, we have too much free speech where people just feel like they have this right to say whatever they want and have no repercussion. That's just my belief at
Mm.
this point. What
Mm.
people aren't focused on is this freedom of money. You can go to Bitcoin. The government's still letting you do that, and you can
Yeah.
speculate in tokens, and you can blow the family nest egg on a private company. I'm not saying you should,
Yeah.
but what a
But you can't.
freedom! You
Right.
can, and people
Yeah.
aren't
Yeah.
trying. And so, if GameStop's your drug, well, you're an idiot. And I'm not saying you shouldn't get rich off GameStop, but if you think that's what investing is, you're sorely mistaken. And that's a freedom
Yeah.
that may got taken away from people at the very wrong moment. And
Mm.
that is frustrating. And I've been there, not on
Yeah.
GameStop. I actually made some money and some derivatives of it, but I wasn't
Well,
like squeezing the last nickel. Anybody that called me that was young and saying, "Oh, I bought GameStop," I was like, "Who let you do that? What planet are you on that you think that's a good idea when you can go buy
Uh,
Google or
so
Amazon
so
or
let's talk
Netflix?"
about some things you do like. You talked about Alpaca. Can you talk about some other companies that you're looking at potentially merging with?
Oh, are you talking about for our SPAC? Sorry, Alpaca's not. It's a company in our
No, no, you
portfolio.
talked about Alpaca. I was saying separately. Can you talk about some companies that you're looking at merging with?
Yeah, we can't. That's in our S1. We talk about um, e-commerce, fintech, and enterprise. That's very broad. I know it's not going to make you happy, but I'm a big believer in e-commerce. Right? I'm a big believer in because of Zoom and COVID. We figured out we've jumped the shark in e-commerce. We had to. We had to survive logistics, e-commerce, and so there's hundreds of companies that I feel will be billion-dollar companies in the next 5 years in e-commerce. So that's pretty exciting. And so that's me picking up the phone and working my network and trying to find other VCs that have a company they think is ready to be public. That's our job right now. And then the same thing with enterprise software. We think that there's going to be hundreds of potential public companies doing 30 to $100 million in sales over the next 2 to 5 years. And so we are actively looking for great founders in the enterprise space. And then around financial services, it feels a little more crowded to me. And so, I know what I like and everything's kind of picked over. So I'm not an insurance expert. I'm not a payments expert. So I feel like we as much as we're experts in financial services, e-commerce and enterprise are very exciting areas to focus on.
Okay. And right now I think your Twitter name, if this is still correct, is non-fungible Lindzon.
Yeah.
Talk to me about NFTs, these non-fungible tokens, because this is getting into everything from baseball cards and all sorts of things, and people are spending now hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars on some of these things, which seems crazy until you look at the market right now for actual baseball cards, cardboard baseball cards and things like that. What is it that's got people so excited about NFTs, and is this an area that you're looking to dive into?
Great question. So yes, no, I'm
Okay.
kidding. So you got a good smile. Yes, it's fascinating. I think it's as stupid as buying GameStop, but that doesn't mean I'm right. It just means I won't do it. I'll learn by doing. Like I'll buy a Pepe card for $1 or whatever it is that I can learn by doing. Right? I'm not going to invest family fortune in digital art. I have friends who are really doing it and have been doing it for months. And I had invested in a company way back that helped people build digital art. So I was just early. So it's very risky. It is much like the internet in 99. People made money on the internet in 99, whether you were a founder in the first bubble. And they took that money off the internet to buy a Porsche, to buy a home, to buy a
Mm-hmm.
boat, to build a dungeon, whatever the hell they did with all their internet money back then.
Uh-huh.
This version of internet money is not being used in the same way. This version of internet money is so much bigger than the last version of internet money that money just happened to be staying over on the internet money side. And what are people
Mm.
spending on when their money stays in the digital world? Digital things. And so it's a very interesting phenomenon that you can laugh off or you can try and dig in. So I'm very interested in NFTs, not for my own personal portfolio, but I would like to give money to young people that know more about me. So the way I'm exploring NFTs is who should I give money to that knows
Mm.
NFTs better than me. So I know I'm not going to be at the ground level
Right.
investing in companies. I will invest in people that know NFTs better than me, and I won't
Okay.
make as much money as someone who buys the perfect piece of digital art.
But
But
you'll
I
get a
will make
little something, something. Get your beak
a
wet.
little something, something in
A little something, something.
financial
All right.
bingo. I just want to participate, and
I get
sometimes
you.
you have to participate with not getting your nose right in the hole like a ferret.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to
Yeah.
just stand a little further away and make a little less money, but know
Yeah.
that there's a trend going on, and that's what I see there.
I got you. And Howard, I want to get you out by your scheduled time. I promised I would. So give me 20-second answer. What's the biggest bubble and what's the biggest opportunity you see right now?
Well, the biggest bubble is NFTs because it's new and it's real in the sense that real money is pouring into it, but the markets are not developed yet. Like as soon as there's a true move in the macro world of money and interest rates and the stock market, the first thing that you will feel is, wow, that space travel didn't sound that interesting anymore, which is a bubble
Mm.
probably. And then the digital bubble is NFTs themselves, but that doesn't mean it can't
Yeah.
go on for 3 more years first. So
Right.
you're
And what's
talking
the
about the bubble itself.
yeah, and what's the biggest opportunity? Really quickly.
NFTs and space, but they
NFTs
both
also.
don't interest.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
bubbles have your and space. Like, I mean, it's the
Yeah.
biggest opportunity. It
Okay.
just doesn't interest me, but it's the biggest opportunity.
All right. Well, Howard Lindzon, general partner at Social Leverage, co-founder of StockTwits, most recently, of course, CEO of Social Leverage Acquisition. Thank you so much for being with us on the Voices of Wall Street.